Hello my friends, I am going to start today completely different as how I normally start my shows. I'm going to do the greeting later on when I start repotting these orchids, but I wanted to show you behind the scenes how I prepped my flask, or should I say my deflasking, how I had everything prepped. You're going to need, if you have a plastic one, you're going to need some type of sharp tool. I used a turkey knife because it has ridges, and for plastic it is the best to kind of cut through. And once I was able to cut through, then I used a pair of kitchen scissors and just basically cut all around the jar. You want to start at the very top. You don't want to do it in the middle or at the bottom. Me personally, I like to be as far away from the seedling as possible when I'm cutting, because I don't want to cut any leaves or roots that I don't see. So once you have that, now you can go ahead and you can cut the top portion, sort of like a sunroof on the bottle. And once you cut that whole entire flap on top, then you're going to want to try to like flip it as far back to give you a little bit more to cut, right? Because sometimes it's harder to cut. Once you get that whole end done, then just go ahead, pull it out, and voila. You have all your seedlings ready to be pulled out. Now, always remember to wear your gloves. Keep your hands very covered, so that way when you handle these seedlings, you're not transferring anything from your hands. And as I say, disinfect, disinfect, disinfect. Make sure that your whole area is clean. As you can see, I have everything very clean. I wiped everything down with peroxide. And when you start clean, you finish clean. Now here you have, you can see I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to get the other portion out. So I found that just by sliding it, it comes right out, and you do not hurt the roots and you don't cause any damage. Now I have a sprayer in my sink. I think they're called a chef sprayer or something like that. And this is great because you can adjust the pressure, and in this case the pressure was not very strong, but strong enough to literally spray all that gel away. And as I can show you, these seedlings look beautiful. I was very excited to see the health of these, the roots of these seedlings, and the leaves were very, very, very green, almost like an olive green. Now I proceed on cleaning the rest of them. There was quite a few in that jar. It was very deceiving. I thought there was maybe like only 20, 25, but there was a lot more than that. You'll see once I repot them how impressive it is to see how many are actually in a tiny little jar like that. That's just me trying to adjust the pressure. You want to make sure that that pressure is adjusted, because those roots are so new and so small that even that water at full pressure will probably break or tear those roots off. And yes, I was rinsing the entire seedling plant. I was not just doing the roots, because some of that gel did get attached to the leaves. And there you go. Those are all the pre-washed seedlings. I place them on top of wax paper because I don't want to put them on my countertop. Even though my countertop was clean and disinfected, I still use a wax paper to lay them on top. And then I have my 3% hydrogen peroxide bottle that I love to use to clean out my orchids sometimes. And in this case, what you want to do is you want to rinse and dip them in that peroxide. And even though it looks like I'm being a little bit aggressive, actually I'm not. I was doing it very gently. And what this does is it kills any possibility of any fungus that will grow on the plant or any other disease that could have been lingering around in your prep area. And I love doing this whole portion of the deflasking, because you almost feel like a scientist with your Petri dish, and the whole process of it was just so much fun. And like I said, it's brand new to me. So there you go. That's all of them pre-washed and disinfected with peroxide. So now all we have to do is put them in their little pots. And yes, they are going to be individually potted. You do not pot them in groups. That is not a good idea. So I'll see you on the other side.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for stopping by at this wonderful episode that we're going to be doing today, because it's my very first time deflasking. Now, I've never deflasked in my life before. I've seen people do it, I've done research, but I've always been very distanced from it, because I kind of was afraid of it, because I don't want to kill these babies. So it took me a while to actually gain the courage to do it. And I know a lot of people would love to do it, but they have the same journey. They're afraid they may kill them or not, or, just not do the right thing, and then you feel kind of bad for it. But anyway, today I'm going to attempt to do my very first deflasking, which, as you guys can see, I already showed you in the beginning of this episode how fun it was to rinse them all out and actually count. I had 47 in that little jar. So you get a lot for your buck when you buy these seedlings in a flask. And if I'm able to grow them, just think about that. I'll have 47 Denisoniana Vandas at hand, which I'm not going to keep them all. Most likely I am going to sell, because that's just way too many Vandas for me to keep here in my property. But I do want to learn how to deflask and grow them, because after 5 years, I think it's due time that I learn how to do it. So as you guys can see, I rinsed them thoroughly with water. What I did was I used a sprayer, and I gauged the pressure of the sprayer to make sure that it would push every little particle and piece of that gel out that is used, because you should never leave any of that gel in there once you pot them in these little mesh pots. These are 2-inch mesh pots that I put them in. They need a lot of variation, because you don't want these seedlings to sit in water. That is a recipe for disaster. So anyways, I went over to OFE's, everything I have here, all my supplies, my spag moss, I call it my mini bark chips, because these are really, really tiny. These are what they call precision orchiata or something like that. See how tiny they are? Very, very tiny. So this is what you use for seedlings. This is only $13 this bag at OFE's, which is great that they had it, because I looked around and I couldn't find that size, and they actually had it. Now with this spag moss, which is one of the highest quality spag moss you can get, I love these. You wet these and they turn into this big brick of spag moss. I'm not going to be needing that much. I'm only mixing a little bit into this. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to grate it, or I'm going to tear it up. You don't want the strings to be too long, just to break it in there, just enough to hold some moisture. And here in Florida, it's very hot, so they do need to kind of be on the moist side. You have to watch that watering every single day until those roots starts growing. And how do you get them to do that? Rapid root growth, because this will help your seedlings actually become stronger and adhere to the medium much faster. That is the main thing. When you transfer your seedlings from a flask to a pot, the number one thing you want, besides all the disinfection and cleaning with peroxide, you want to make sure that those roots are healthy enough to start growing ASAP. Because the faster the root grows, the faster it establishes, the healthier your plant will be. So make sure you get yourself one of these rapid root growth. I also got this at OFE's. You can get the big bottle or the little bottle. This little bottle goes a long way. You can, I think you use, I have to read the instructions well for propagation trays. I believe, why am I straining? I'm straining, I don't have my eyes on. All right, it says for propagation trays, it says 2 teaspoons per 5 gallons. So 2 teaspoons per 5 gallons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to run it through Chat GPS, because I'm not a good mathematician, and ask it, could you break it down for me for 1 gallon for seedlings? And if you guys run into any trouble, ChatGPT will help you. And those things. Just don't rely too much on it, because ChatGPT is not an orchid grower, so it'll give you a roundabout explanation of it, but always check with your local growers or even with OFEs, because most of you don't know this. Chris used to deflask orchids. That was a thing he did. And so before I started doing this, I went and I spoke to him, and he gave me the directive. He goes, make sure that after you rinse with water, you clean them well with peroxide. You want to give them a full dip, because that's going to kill any possibility of them getting fungus. And that is the main cause of the death of a seedling, is fungus. Many people just plant them and then they overwater, thinking that more water is better, and no, it actually rots the plants away. They're very, very vulnerable and fragile to too much moisture. All right, so I'm gonna mix this here. Let me move this to the side. I'm gonna mix this medium. I'm gonna put it on fast speed, because if not, you're just gonna be sitting there watching me mix and cut. I don't think I need that much medium, so I'm gonna do about that much, a little under half, right? So here you go. I've been using this mixing bowl, as you can see, for a long time. It's a great mixing bowl, but I think it's time to retire it. Now, here's the tricky part. Spag moss is one of those materials that's very, sort of like fleshy. You know, it's very stringy and very not easy to cut all the time. So I'm hoping that with these shears or scissors that I have here, that I can cut it. Because usually I've used a saw or a knife. When it's dry like this, here we go. So this is what I wanted. Now, Chris did tell me when you grab it, you want to kind of like rub it in there. It's almost like seasoning. Here, you can see it. Okay, you don't want them to be too long. And if there's any long ones that fall in there, just grab them and kind of break them up a little bit. Don't be afraid to tear that puppy up, right? Because if not, you may get these very long, stringy spag moss, and they will hold way too much moisture. So what you want to do is just break that up, break it up, almost like peppering your medium. There we go. All right, so I'm going to speed this up. You guys get the idea. Just grab it. Don't leave any long. See, like something like this, you don't want long strings like that. You want to break that up. Which is something that I've never heard before, and it's a good tip, and it makes all the sense in the world. Because if you're using a medium already, like this tiny, it's like a micro bark. It's so small. Look at this, guys. That's like a seedling bark for sure. Then you don't want, see these long things, you want to pull those out. Those are just debris that gets on the spag moss. All right, so I will see you when I am done mixing. See? Think of it, I don't know, this just came to mind. I don't know if it's a good metaphor, but think of it as a chocolate chip cookie, right? When you make chocolate chip cookies, we are all there for the chocolate chip, right? But we don't overdo it with the chocolate chip. It's more cookie than chocolate chip. Because if not, it'd be just a chocolate cookie. So think of it that way. You're making a mix of chocolate chip. You're only putting a couple of chips in there, and that's it. Now, when you work, I didn't show this on the video, when you work on a surface, please disinfect it. This whole table has been disinfected, thoroughly clean and disinfected. You want to do that because anything that your orchids touch could cause some type of infection. So if you see me doing this, picking it up and putting it here, this is very clean. I cleaned it with disinfectant, And then I got a wipey with peroxide and I cleaned it completely just to make sure that my whole entire surface was clean. Because these are like, you got to see them as you're in the hospital, you know, where they have the babies in that glass room where everybody stands to see their baby. And all the dads stand there like all proud to claim, that's my baby. Well, that's how you have to treat these. This is the hospital room, and you have to make sure that everything around it is super sanitized, sterile, and clean. Now, if you guys don't know what a Denisoniana orange vanda is, this is what I got. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous flower, and it has one of the most beautiful fragrances. And this is one of those vandas you don't see often. Very, very big in the collectors and vanda collectors and orchid collectors in general. This is one that they do get a lot, and I only have one, and I got, I think, from Banyang. And I've always said, I want more of these Denisonianas because they just smell so good, and I wanted to put some on my tree. So a lot of these are going to go on my trees, but whatever I decide not to put on my trees, guys, I will be selling to you, my viewers. All right, so first let's see how well they do, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I brought these because I wanted to show you guys these that I have here. They come from the Motes. This one is a Labukensis, which is a great, great orchid. See how they're almost ready. This one in the middle is almost ready. I have this one that it's a Insignis with Sib. And then the smallest of the babies here is an Encyclia Orchid Jungle, which I love them. So we have those three for the future. Now, why am I not taking these out? Because they still haven't touched the surface. You want that orchid to start touching the top. Once you see those orchids touching the top, it's ready. You don't want to keep them there too long. Like, I feel these were in there a little too long since I bought them. I bought them about a month ago. And I wanted to do it right away, but like I said, guys, this is my first time doing it. So I needed to find the time, the space, and the courage to do this. All right, let's start potting. Let me make sure these don't fall, because when I was getting these at OFE's, they fell like 4 times. They were laughing at me. They're like, what is wrong with you? I go, I don't know, where they keep on falling and I'm making a mess. All right, so I am using this tray to prep because I cannot find my prep tray. I think I'm going to have to buy a new one. And once I'm done with all these, again, I don't have, I didn't get time to go to the Publix. I'm going to buy a lasagna tray. You know, the low-profile aluminum lasagna trays. And you want to poke holes underneath. And then you put all your orchids. So when you water, that water goes downwards and it doesn't stay stagnant in the pan, causing your orchids to die. Now, I'm thinking, I have an aquarium way in the back, very close to the screen, where I put orchids there before and they do great. It's a perfect lighting, but the humidity is amazing. So I was actually thinking, for the time being, keeping the seedlings in here, which will be a lot safer. We get a lot of light from outside. And that way, once the roots are all fully established and they're ready to go, then I'll transfer them to my greenhouse. But I think right now, that may be the best way to go, and just put it literally on top of my 55-gallon aquarium, so it's getting all that wonderful humidity. Now, if you do that, guys, if you put it in an area that's high humid, watch your medium. Don't overwater them, right? I'm going to be watering them with aquarium water, because aquarium water for me has shown me to be one of the best waters. If you guys think that's not a good idea, leave it in the comments. Remember, like I said, I've never done this. So you leave it in the comments. I also have in my house, we have a triple filter of RO water. It's RO, but not really. It's the parts per million, the ppms in the water are like almost zero. We've had it tested, and they were blown away. They said, you have no particles in your water. So I may end up using that water since it's a little cleaner for the first few weeks. And then I'll go into aquarium water, which is what my game plan is. All right. How do we start? You start by starting. All right, let's see how this works, because I have no clue how well this is going to. I'm going to assume half first. Let's put this baby in here. Some of these roots are already like they were really due. They were really due to come out. And you want to make sure, don't be afraid to like really pack that medium in there. Now don't press it to the point you're going to kill the root or destroy it. But you want to make sure that that root is secured. It's not wobbly. I've said many times before to you guys, a wobbly orchid is a dying orchid in a pot. Now I personally like to do this every time I pot things, because when you tap it lightly on the bottom, what it does is it creates a natural compact in the pot without disturbing or hurting the root. Guys, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's much more to it. It looks happy in there. So let's put it in. So let's go for another one. You know, it's funny, when I started the whole process of doing this, so many things went through my mind, like, okay, how much medium? What kind of medium? Should I do it like indoors? Should I do it outdoors? Like, I was overthinking this so much. And then I said to myself, does everyone do that? Does everyone overthink things? And then I thought of people like my friend Melissa and Wendy and all my orchid crew. And of course we do. You know why? Because we care about our orchids and we want to make sure that we do the right thing for them. So it's okay to overthink, just don't act on your overthinking, because you may be doing too much. So what I did was, you know what? The best way to do this is just go and do it. And today I took the day off for all my babies. I gave them a full day for myself. And see, no wiggly, no waggly. This is so exciting. It's starting to look like a little nursery. All right, guys, so what I'm gonna do is, I may speed this up and slow it down throughout if I discover anything. Like, you know, when you do certain things, you discover, the more you do it, you discover more and more better ways of doing it. Like when I was rinsing the actual seedlings, I first started by rinsing them with the regular water. And then I realized, wait, I got the sprayer. Let me just gauge the sprayer and the pressure will push all that gel out. But I was doing one by one, as you saw in the video. But once I cut, I'm like, there has to be an easier way. So I grabbed the whole bunch softly. I pulled it to the side and I rinsed all the gel. And like magic, it all came off. And then I took one by one and rinsed it well. I went much faster that way. Because if you try to do one by one and taking one by one the way I was doing it, you're probably going to be there for hours. So rinse them really well if you have a sprayer. That's for people who have a sprayer. Spray, if not for you that just have a regular sink, I would just put it right under the nozzle and make sure that the gel just rinses right through. Once you're done with that, then you want to take them individually and make sure there's nothing there. At the end of the day, you just want that root to be as clean as possible. And always keep in mind, you are dealing with a baby. So you don't want to go ahead and start pushing those roots, too hard the way you would do a regular big vanda that they can stand it. These are babies, so you don't want to be too hard on the roots. Be gentle. Wear your gloves, please. Look at this. This one, the root came out to the side. I'm going to leave it. It's got plenty of roots on the inside. sometimes the orchid will tell you what it wants to do. All right, guys, I will see you once I'm done with all this. All right, everyone, I am finally done. And I gotta tell you, this is very time consuming, but I really enjoyed it. It's almost relaxing. It puts you in a state of zen while you're doing it. And as you do it, you find easier and easier ways of doing it and how to position your seedling. And let me tell you, the banging, this little, I usually put 2 fingers in between like this to hold a plant and lightly bang. Let me see if you can see that. You can see that. And I do this, and it helps a lot. You can literally see that the seedling adjusting, and then it's right there, very firm, and has no wiggle room per se. But anyways, unfortunately, 47 did not fit in this tray. It's a lot. Check this out. It's so beautiful. And as you can see, you can kind of see some of that little moss in there. So the other 7, I had to put in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in one location, and I'm going to put these in another. And I'm going to see which one does best in either location. And that's how you learn. Now, I did reach out to Julian right while I was doing this over at Carl Smith's, because I had a question for him. I wanted to know if when they do their seedlings over there, do they fertilize them as soon as they're potted, or do they wait a while and then start fertilizing after they kind of adjusted to being in the pots? So once he responds to me, because I know he's busy over there, once he responds to me and tells me, I will write it down here, we'll edit it, and I will let you guys know what they do as far as fertilizer. I do know that the rapid root, the rapid start root is really, really good for establishing your orchid. So I'm definitely going to use this. I will put underneath how much I use, because I'm going to make sure I mix the right amount, because I don't want to guesstimate with babies. You don't want to guess anything with these babies. You want to make sure you're right on the money. So again, this is the flower. It's the orange Denisoniana, the really bright one. And I guess that's it. I guess there's nothing more to show you guys. It wasn't really that hard. It was actually pretty easy, just very time consuming, it's very systematic, right? You have to first rinse them, then cleanse them with peroxide, mix your medium, make sure that if you're going to use spag moss, and the only reason I use spag moss on this is because I was told that Denisonianas in the world of Vandas is the one that requires slightly more moisture. I heard that they do like a little bit of more moisture than most Vandas. I don't know if it's in the location that they're native from. There's a lot more moisture, but it's good to know, because that way when you pot them, or when you pot the seedlings, you make sure you have a little bit of that extra moisture. With that said, I will not water these every day. I will probably water every 3 days, 2 days, depending on the humidity level and depending on the heat. If it's very hot, I will definitely water every day, because it is very draining. It has a lot of drainage with these netted pots. And the bark itself is very loose on inside, so the water will run through. And I think that's it. No more. I am done for today. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this amazing segment of deflasking. I think my friend just started a monster. I have to thank Maria from Motes, the lab diva, the most beautiful scientist I've seen. She's like a movie scientist. And you know when you see these movies and you see a scientist and they're so good looking and you're like, yeah, it's only movies. Well, guess what? Motes brought it to life. So Maria, thank you. Maria, thank you for encouraging me with those little flasks. And Julian, thank you for literally grabbing me by the hand and taking me to Tropical Exotics, which were at Tamiami. Was it the Rare Plant Show? Yes, the Rare Plant Show. And he's like, you need to start like getting other kinds of flasks so you can just get your hands wet and once you start doing it, you're going to love it. And he goes, come on, I'm going to take you somewhere that you're really going to really enjoy these orchids. And when I got there, they had the Denisoniana, and I was like, oh, I want that one. So thank you, Julian. Thank you, Maria, for encouraging me to do this. Let's see what happens. Ready for baking. Thank you for sticking by. I'm Nelson. You've been watching Nature Now in this gorgeous aquarium room with my babies. How do you guys like the background view? I'm sure you've been looking at my kids swimming around. And I got a couple of new ones. I got some little red devil angels, and I got some balloon gouramis to add into them. So once they get really big, I'm going to really love this aquarium because they're going to fill it up really nice. All right, so that's it. I will see you in the next episode. I will catch you soon. Come here, Tiago. Come here. Say bye to your friends. No one ever gets to see you because you're an indoor diva. Here, let me show your beautiful face to my friends. This is my beautiful kitty with the most beautiful blue eyes. Say hi, Tiago. Say hi, my diva. This is my shadow. He's been with me 14 years. He is the most precious thing. I love him so much.